so I'm from Singapore. So today the agenda that I have in this presentation is actually talking about a few things. First thing we will talk about is data security on premise, data security in the cloud, and also the 3x3 concept of how this affects you when you start moving to the cloud. So I'll start my presentation. Firstly, when we talk about data privacy, the thing is, in order to understand data privacy, is also what is privacy. So password is private, credit card number is private. But when you drill into the details of data privacy, you will realize things like your name, your address, even the recent visited sites is actually considered as private data. So in many organizations, we do agree that data privacy is important. Okay, but what organizations also need to understand is data privacy actually is the fundamental building blocks of your business itself. For example, how loyal or your reputation actually depends on your data privacy. Just imagine if the organization is not able to protect the privacy of their customer, they can actually lose customer in the process of not able to do a proper job of protecting the data for the customer. When we talk about data privacy, okay, there is actually 3 core pillars in data security. The first pillar, in order for you to understand what you want to protect, firstly, you must be able to discover and classify your information. Only by discovering and classifying what are the data that is important or sensitive, you will be able to do the second step, which is to protect the sensitive data. So when we talk about protecting the sensitive data, we're always talking about using cryptography. Okay, you can encrypt, you can tokenize the information to protect those data itself. So when I can discover and classify the data, I can protect the data. So what is the third core pillar? Key management. And why is key management also very important is because if I can discover, I can protect. If I cannot protect the keys or manage the keys that's used in the cryptographic algorithm, the hacker just need to take my key and start decrypting my data for me. So the first thing we must remember is the 3 core pillars of data security is discover the data, protect those sensitive data that you have discovered, and also manage the key life cycle of the keys that is used for the data protection. To understand data and security, we first look at the relationship. For example, in my own understanding, data is always created by a user. Okay, Microsoft Word is an application. Okay, Excel is an application. So when data is created by a user onto the application, data is written from the application into the database, and from the database is written to a file OS system and finally put to storage. So data flows from the user at the top into application, database, OS, and finally storage. Data flow from top to bottom. But when we talk about security, it's a different. Security moves from bottom up. So for example, if I deploy a security on storage itself, okay, security is protected, the storage is protected, but any data that resides on the OS, database, and application actually is clear. If I deploy security on the application layer, the data is encrypted by application, but when they go to database, it's also encrypted. When the database is written to the OS layer, it's also protected, and when you go into storage, it's also protected. So, in technical sense, if I want to do a data protection, the best practice will be always go for the application layer, so that whenever the data flows up, down, it is always protected. When I talk to some other customers, so customers say, Melvin, so does that mean that I need to modify all my application to do data protection? Which is not true. Why? So I showed the other table, which is say, oh, Mr. Customer, there's also a relationship between security and effort. So if I were to do everything on the application layer, yes, it is very secure. But what happens is there will be a lot of effort required by the organization. Organization is not going to change all the application just because of security. So based on this table itself, I'll tell the customer, Mr. Customer, firstly, understand your data. How risky is it to the organization? If it is a very risky data or very sensitive data, you can go for application. But just say if it's not that sensitive, you can go for database, file system, or storage layer, really depending on how the organization looks at the data itself. Remember, we talked about the 3 by 3 by 3. So the first 3 is actually data security on-premise. When we talk about moving to the cloud, the first thing is everybody has something on-premise. Everybody started with on-premise itself. So you cannot talk about migrating to the cloud or cloud strategy without understanding what type of security you have on-premise. So what I feel that in terms of data security on-premise itself, there is actually three types. The first type, I have a storage and I want to protect the data on the storage itself. Okay, so by deploying a solution, the storage can do their own encryption and the keys will be offloaded to an external device itself. So in this diagram, it actually shows that the protected zone is on the storage. So I have actually added a protected zone to my storage itself, and what is the advantage is, firstly, the data protection on the storage level, it is a basic level of security. Means I deploy a solution that encrypts the storage and I externalize the keys onto a key manager. It is the basic level of security, and more importantly, it protects the storage from accidental loss or physical media theft. This is the basic level of data security on-premise. Next, when we look at the more advanced, I'll tell my customer, is the customer. So if you are looking at the more advanced level of protection, okay, you will be deploying the security on the database or on the OS layer itself. So when that happens, you actually extended the protected zone on top of storage. So whatever you protect on the OS layer will actually also be protecting what you have on storage. In this type of advanced level of security, the database the database file for the database is actually protected. It protects you against super administrator abuse, okay, your sudo, your container theft, okay, and it has a very granular access control of the user and the process when you access this type of OS layer. So this is actually the advanced layer of data protection where you protect both the storage as well as on the OS layer. For the highest level of protection on premise itself, okay, I would say it will be on the application layer. So you can deploy a solution that actually protects the data on the application layer. The moment the data is created by an application, it is actually protected, encrypted or tokenized before they go to database and even before they go into storage. So with that, what is the advantage of such solution is application layer protection using tokenization encryption. It has the highest level of security. It protects against your DB admin, your DBA. Let's say if they write a query to database, okay, the data they see is actually encrypted or tokenized, and it actually protects the data from the point of creation. So we must always remember when we talk about data relationship, data is created by a user. If I can do the protection from the point of creation, any flow of the data downstream is actually protected in the solution itself. So this is the three types of data protection that we can talk about on-premise. Next, we talk about the three types of cloud data security. So in many organizations, maybe fast or slow, they are actually tasked by the organization to look at cloud migration. I need to go to the cloud. Every organization, big organization, will want to move to the cloud. So when we talk about cloud itself, firstly, you must understand what are the services provided by the cloud service provider. In most general cloud service provider, they provide three types of services. The first, infrastructure as a service. That means the EC2 instance, okay, is infrastructure as a service. You build your own VM, okay, then you build your own application database on top of the VM itself. So three types of services that is provided by the cloud service provider: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So in order to explain what type of responsibility or security that you need to provide when you start using the cloud, this table will explain to you if you are looking at infrastructure as a service. Since the organization is the one that is building the VMs, you have access to the OS layer. then as a customer, you are responsible for the security from the OS upwards. Because you are the one installing the OS, the VM, any security on top of the VM is actually your responsibility. Next, when customers start using the cloud, a lot of them say, oh, Melvin, actually, I'm not looking at infrastructure as a service. I just use a platform. I want to use a Kubernetes service, I want to use a database service from the cloud service provider. So in that instance, since the database is installed by, or the Kubernetes is installed by the cloud service provider, your security happens on the application as well as the data. Because I will not be able to install security on the OS layer since the default platform as a service, you do not have access to the platform itself. Last but not least, organization when they go to the cloud, a lot of them actually want to use software as a service. So instead of deploying VMs or building their own application, they say, oh, I just want to use the software. So like Office 365, software as a service. So when you use software as a service, since you got no access to the platform, you got no access to the OS layer, the only responsibility that the customer has is actually on the data that they bring up. So in this table, it actually tell you, depending on what type of service you use on the cloud service provider, infrastructure, platform, or software as a service, where does the responsibility of the customer lies? Again, there's also three types of protection. So at the basic level of protection of the cloud is, today, any organization that use the cloud, they want to use a service. Okay, so when you start consuming a service, the services itself does provide their own security. Any services provided by the cloud service provider have built-in security. So when they have built-in security, the first thing is if they can do their own crypto, the integration will always be with the KMS, key management of the service provider. Any service that they do today will always be integrated with a key inside their key manager. So as a basic level of security, first thing the customer must do, I propose to, is actually have a key manager to do this BYOK, bring your own key. So instead of using the keys that is generated by the cloud service provider, customer can deploy a solution to actually bring the key up to the cloud service provider and tell them, say, please use the key that I bring for you. Bring your own key concept. The advantage of bring your own key is it is a basic level of cloud security. Okay? The keys is generated in a FIM certified environment. Customer take ownership of the key material. You will be able to back up and recover the key and also protect yourself from accidental deletion. For example, in the event that the key is deleted from the cloud KMS, since you have the ownership of the key, you will be able to recover your service using a copy of the key that you have. And it is also a single GUI for the customer if they need to manage multiple key, multiple cloud environment. Okay, bring your own key. Use the security provided by the cloud service provider, but at the same time have the due diligence to actually bring the key up for the cloud service provider to use. Basic level of data protection on the cloud. When we talk about security, so there will be always the more advanced one. So as usual, if you are using a service, for example, you may be using BigQuery service, compute engine service from Google. Of course, they are integrated with the Google KMS. Okay, so in this instance, so what is the advanced type of security? You can deploy an external key management service from Google. Okay, at the same time, we have this concept of hold your own key. In this concept itself, the keys actually resides with the customer, and any access to the data in the compute engine for the BigQuery, okay, the data, the key have to be decrypted by what you have on premise before you can use the service. So in this concept itself, it is different from bring your own key. Bring your own key, the key is actually passed up to the cloud service provider. But in hold your own key, the customer take full control or full ownership of the keys by having it on their premise itself. So what's the advantage? The advantage is it is an advanced level of cloud security. Data encryption key or DEK in the Google key ring is actually encrypted by a key that the customer has on premise. And most importantly, customer has the ultimate control of the key used for the encryption. We have the basic, we have the advanced, and now we talk about the highest level of protection on the cloud security. So, as usual, if you're using a big data query, your data lake itself. So what Thales can propose is there is this concept of bring your own encryption. Instead of using the crypto engine that is provided by the cloud service provider, you can actually deploy a solution that encrypts the data on premise before bringing it up to the cloud. So this has the highest form of security where instead of using the security or the crypto engine provided by the cloud service provider, you will actually encrypt the data and bring up to the cloud. This is the highest level of security where data is tokenized and encrypted before they go into the cloud. Protected data can also be shared with third party since it's already encrypted, and customers have ultimate control of the keys and the encryption technology. Okay, so this is the three different types of cloud security. The basic, which is bring your own key, the advanced, which is hold your own key, and the highest level, which is bring your own encryption. So after we understand the data security on premise, the data security on the cloud, then we talk about the three types of cloud migration strategy, which is firstly, today every organization has something on premise. Okay, employee 1, 2, 3 is accessing what is on premise itself. So when we talk about cloud migration, a lot of customers, the first thing they do is they do the lift and shift approach, where they actually create a VM in the cloud and they start migrating the VM up to the cloud. This is lift and shift. So with this approach, customers can actually start accessing the VMs that they have created on the cloud. Cloud strategy number 2 is a lot of customers, when they move to the cloud, they are also looking at scalability. So today on premise itself, they have online purchase and mobile banking, everything on the application of the cloud. So in the event that they need to scale, some customers actually move their application up to the cloud so that when they need more computing power or more VMs, they can actually access the infrastructure that they have set up on the cloud itself. So the second strategy, the customer migrate to the cloud is because they need more scalability. Third is when you are embracing software as a service. For customers that are using like HR system or CRM or training system on premise, some of the customers started to move to use a software as a service in the cloud itself. So with that, they actually doesn't use those on premise and they use the software that is provided by the cloud. So for cloud strategy, there's 3 types: the lift and shift, the scalability, and also when they're embracing software as a service. Next, we talk about some cloud use case. So one of the hybrid model of using cloud use case for most of the customer I see is today they have sensitive data on premise itself. They deploy a solution to actually tokenize or encrypt the data on premise. But when customers want to use the cloud, a lot of them want to use the big data computing on the cloud. So the data that is tokenized or encrypted can be shared up into the cloud. Okay, and optionally, they will be able to tokenize or decrypt the data in the cloud if they need to. This is only possible if you are using the encryption or tokenization technology from us. That means I encrypt and tokenize on premise using Thales solution. So when I go to the cloud, using the same technology itself, I will be able to reverse it. I can detokenize or decrypt it in the cloud whenever necessary. So the first model is to encrypt, tokenize on premise, go to the cloud, and have the ability to decrypt or detokenize if needed. Second use case is for multi-cloud or BY or the BYOE, pre-owned encryption. For example, today I have a user, I created a file, and the file deploying the Thales technology, I got it encrypted, and it's sent into the cloud. Okay, so for one cloud, the encrypted form, it can be shared onto another cloud, and the user accessing the other cloud service provider will be able to decrypt and get the clear file. This is only possible when they are using Thales technology. Another instance, a user through application is putting credit card number into the cloud itself. So using Thales technology, they will be able to tokenize the credit card number. The token can be shared across the cloud, and using the same technology, they will be able to tokenize it. Okay, so cloud migration best practices is firstly, what you have on premise is you will be able to deploy a solution using Thales to actually protect your data, everything you have on premise itself. So your protected zone on premise happens from the application layer to the storage layer. But as a best practice of centralized key management, the solution can also be deployed when you use it on the cloud. So in summary, the end-to-end cloud journey is, firstly, for every organization, understand the motivation of why you need to move to the cloud and what are you moving to, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service. Depending on the services you choose or the sensitivity of the data, okay, you can select bring your own key, hold your own key, or bring your own encryption technology. As much as possible, try to centralize your key management or reuse whatever key management you have on premise. And finally, you start moving on to the cloud itself. Okay, that is the last of my presentation slide. Thank you.